Well, hey there, HVAC pros and enthusiasts. Are you ready to take Well, hey there, HVAC pros and enthusiasts. Are you ready to take your skills to the next level? The HVACR Learning Network has just launched an exciting new e-learning course, High Performance Heat Pumps. And guess what? We're giving you free access to the first 2 chapters. Whether you're in the field, training for that next step, or simply want to sharpen your expertise, this course is packed with everything you need to understand and master high-performance heat pump systems, especially inverter-driven cold climate heat pumps. And the best part? You can access it anytime, anywhere, right from your favorite mobile device. It's HVACR learning made flexible and convenient for you. So what are you waiting for? Click the link. Dive into the HVACR Learning Network and start your free trial today. Your journey to HVACR mastery begins here. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. How are you all? So Jocelyn and I are hanging out. Oh, AI is going to, again, let's see if I can get this back over here. Hey, you come back here. All right, so the AI has decided that it is going to start going automatically. Let me make sure to turn that off. We hope everyone is doing well today. We're grateful that you're spending some time with us. We are doing an installation. We have been for the last couple of days. That is the indoor unit for this Hitachi AirHome 800. It's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be discussing this entire installation. So we've spent 2 days with our good partners from the industry. I'm going to go around here and have everyone introduce themselves and let us know in the chat where you're joining in from, and let me know how the audio is doing. We're utilizing the microphone off from this AI tracking cam. Seemed like it had a pretty decent sound to it a while ago, but let me know in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. We're actually in Freedom, Indiana right now doing this installation. So I'm going to run over here to my cameras and we'll walk around real quick and we'll let everybody introduce themselves.
Oh, I'm Jocelyn.
Chris.
I'm Chris, the camera guy.
Chris has been back here doing all the filming. We're going to show you some of that footage here in just a little bit.
Hey, I'm Allie Northrup and I work at Godfrey Marketing.
So whenever you see us out and about, it's probably because Allie has done the coordination for us. All these roadshow videos have been her.
Really good at roping you into things.
She is.
My name is Charles Van Geering. I'm the service manager for York Factory Direct.
So York, part of the Bosch Home Comfort
Yes.
Group now with Hitachi. So Charles joined us to do this install. So we have spent 2 days doing a complete installation of a ultra low temperature, high performance heat pump. You know, we talk a lot about high performance heat pumps, both in ducted and ductless. So we decided that we really needed to do an installation for you to start getting you comfortable with these products, whether you're an educator and you need to be comfortable teaching in the classroom, or you're going to do an installation in your classroom and you really want to know a little bit more about the process so that you can be comfortable using that in the classroom. Or if you're a contractor and a technician and you're wanting to know the products better and their application, this is a really good application for that. I can actually show you. It's kind of cold. Today is actually the warmest that we've been encountering. So that's showing you that we're 32 degrees out right now. It's 75 degrees inside. Now, we did have the fireplace running earlier, keeping it, tempered. But after doing the commissioning on this AirHome 800, it got up to about 80 degrees. And so we had to actually back it down. So with this, we did a full load calculation. I can share all those details if you're interested in that. We use Conduit Tech for the load calculation of the structure. And it showed that we had a heating load around 11,700 BTUs. I designed that at 5 degrees and not the traditional 47 degrees. And I get questioned on that, and sometimes I get ridiculed for that by those who have not used that philosophy in the past for sizing heat pumps. And here's why. I don't want any type of electric resistive backup heating for this application. We wanted a heat pump only. And because of the technology that we have been discussing with you and introducing to you, I knew that we had that capability. So when I did the load calculation, I designed it at 5 degrees Fahrenheit. We ended up with about 11,700 BTUs of heating. I think it was around 6,800 BTUs of cooling on that 95-degree day. So when we look at heat pumps and we're doing our equipment selection and matching, it's crucial for us to look at the different models. So when we talk about this AirHome, we have a generation of AirHomes with different capability. We have, Charles, 400, 600, 800. So we can do different temperature ranges. This 800 is their premier, their ultra low temperature. This thing is rated at, remember I said 5 degrees was my design, around 11,700 BTUs. By design, this unit has 100% capacity down around -4, -5 degrees, which means my load at 5 degrees is completely being managed by this heat pump, and will still do that at -5 and will operate all the way down to -22 Fahrenheit. So I've actually now selected a heat pump that will supply all of my heating needs. It is an inverter, so the cooling capacity can be reduced to what I need it to be. So in the summertime, this heat pump is only going to run at partial capacity. And in the winter, it's going to be running at reduced capacity until we start getting into those lower temperatures, and then we're going to start maxing out. It has a bunch of other features, which we'll talk about along the way. But I wanted to share this experience with you and help you be more comfortable with the installations. Let me show you a few photos real quick from this particular installation. Oh, good, Todd. I'm glad that the audio's coming through just fine. I was hoping so. It's a pretty good microphone. I was testing it out earlier. Patrick, thanks for joining us. Todd, hey, I'm glad you're in California, Todd. You don't want to be here. Look at this. Look at them photos, right? So this is what we've actually been dealing with. I'm like 32, 33 degrees. This is our high. Like we've been starting our mornings. We were up and running by 8 o'clock for the last 2 days, and it's been in the teens. And with the chills, it's definitely cold. So there's a shot of the unit as we were unpacking it. We actually had a we had rain, snow. We've had a variety of temperatures here in the Midwest over the last few weeks. So we actually had to use some pallets to be able to make us a walkway across the side and the back so that we could comfortably do this installation. But anyone that's installed in the past, you know that that's part of what we do. We have to manage the scenario that we are working with. Yeah, high is 68 in California today, Todd. Thanks.
Todd, don't rub it in.
Isn't it? You wait, you get to our conference, you're going to meet Todd. So we did have some obstacles to get past. When we were working with this facility, it has a metal interior, so a barn metal interior. It is vertically framed, but we had some challenges looking for the right location in the application, the best spot for installing these units. But we did find it, and we were able to get that successfully installed. So there's some additional shots. Now, what we did with this video production, we're very excited about this. We can't wait to start sharing some of these videos going forward. We did a step-by-step installation from unboxing the unit through every tool that you would need for doing a proper installation. We went through an explanation of how to use the tools at every spot along the way. And so we ended up with a complete installation for this system. We're hoping you're going to enjoy that once we get there. Scott, 22 degrees. That's over in Ohio. Yeah, it's a little cold over there today too. All right, so let's talk about this 800 series unit for a little bit, and then we're going to go around and share some things that each of us learned along the way. We had some wonderful experiences here. We had some fun. We had some laughter. We had some learning experiences. You might have caught me cursing a few times or two, but that comes with about every installation, isn't it? So let's talk about our 800 series. when we get into this 800, this is their iHeat Force series. And when we traditionally talked about heat pumps, we never really looked at that type of a heating capacity. 100% capacity at -4 degrees. Will operate down to -22 and even lower. So the rated temperatures are -22, but will operate even lower than that. And we've already experienced this. Earlier today, it was probably 28, 29 degrees, and we could successfully get 80 degrees inside of this structure. So re-looking at inverter heat pumps and the performance is a very crucial thing to do. So let's talk about this product a little bit. Let's dive into some of the system performance of it so that you can get an idea. And hopefully this will be large enough to see. I'll try to see if I can zoom in on some of this, if at all possible. Let me get to the statistical section of this. All right. So when we look at this unit, I don't know that I can expand that for you at all. I'll make this PDF downloadable for you as soon as I get the chance to upload this video. I'll put it into the link for the descriptions. So we're looking at this second column here. This is the 12,000 BTU unit. This 12,000 BTU unit is rated at 12,500. It has a cooling capacity. This is the important part. It has a cooling capacity between 5,000 BTUs and 14,000 BTUs. So when we're looking at our inverters, we have to understand what their capacity range is. Boy, that camera is going to follow me around, isn't it? Now, what is the heating capacity? Its nominal rating was 13,500. But if you look at its capability, that capability is actually between 4,700 and 19,000 BTUs. And it does it with a coefficient of performance that is pretty crazy. So if we look at the COP of this, at 5 degrees, we're still running a COP of 2.1, which we talked a little bit earlier about COP. We were explaining to Jocelyn what coefficient of performance means. And so that is for every watt of electricity we use, we're going to produce a watt of heat. 1 watt is equivalent to about 3.14 BTUs. So when we start looking at heating solutions, that coefficient of performance is very important to know. So that means at 5 degrees, I could produce all the heat that I need at least 200% more efficient than I would have if I would have been using a straight electric resistive heating. So really cool application to use. Now, I think real quick, I'm going to hop over here and I'm going to play you a video that Jocelyn threw together. It's a short but it really helps you see the experience of what we've done for the last couple of days. I think we lost a little bit of it, but as you can see, it was a lot of fun. So I think let's go ahead and take a minute and we're going to go around the room and we're going to talk about different experiences, because for many people, these ultra low temp or cold climate heat pumps or all weather heat pumps, you'll hear a variety of terms. All it really means is a high performance heat pump, a system that can operate in parameters that we never discussed 5 years, 10 years ago. So I know I had one fun experience with Jocelyn, which I can't wait to share that video. We actually did a little bit of flaring.
Yeah.
So we all know that flaring is the most common failure part within a ductless installation. If it's not done properly, we're going to have leaks at some point. Typically what we find is we're over torquing our flares. We're not creating flares to the proper dimensions. And so Jocelyn actually learned how to do a flare. So let's kind of talk about flaring a little bit. And let's talk about some of the things that we learned along the way about making a proper flare.
Yeah, so this is a piece of copper, and this is a flaring tool. So basically, you put it through, I guess, this gauge here, and this tightens and or loosens to put it in place, and then this winds so that you can make your flare.
Your flare, and it's a clutch, so it will max out the amount of torque that you can put on it. And then when we're done, we actually use a gauge to be able to gauge how much our flare fits with inside of that gauge depth. So for all of you that are educators, I'm really curious, are you using the older style, traditional style flaring blocks in your classroom? Or are you using clutch style flaring blocks with a gauge? Because I'm telling you, it's a really good challenge and competition to have for in the classroom. What we found was Jocelyn actually produced a perfect flare on her very first attempt. What does that say? That tells us that when we are using the proper tools and we're giving proper instruction, we can actually do a perfect flare almost every time. Now, is it 100%? No, actually on one of my installations, one of my flares was off because I didn't have my gauge depth proper. So I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Let me grab that gauge. Todd, you're teaching both of them? Excellent. That's really what we're looking for. So let's go over it again. Let me borrow that from you real quick, and we're going to talk about what we're actually doing. Just in case anyone has any questions about doing a proper flare. We've done classes before, but we're just going to do a quick recap on this one, right? Remember, when we're using our flare block, okay, Scott, you're using the one from the 1980s, and I get that. That's what most of us grew up on. But what I found, and I actually did this in class, and I highly encourage you to do this. Grab a gauge. And the flaring gauge is a crucial part of understanding the flares that we make. It's one thing to be able to say that I make a good flare, because I think I can make a good flare, but it's another thing to challenge ourselves. And especially in the classroom, this is the perfect tool for making that challenge, because inside of each one of these diameters, we have a ridge, and you can just barely feel it with your fingernail. And a true perfect flare will fit inside of this hole, but so close that it'll actually touch that little rim, showing you how small of a tolerance there is to make a perfect flare. And I can tell you that from my personal experience, when I was using the flare blocks that I grew up on, that I was taught, I could not make a flare that actually met through the proper gauge. So let's talk about why. Like, why would we not get a good flare? It all starts with the depth. Now, if you remember, many of us, when we were growing up, we were told about a nickel thick.
Yeah.
That was actually a very common practice. We were told a nickel thick. But if you think about that, most of the time we were working with things like 3/4 inch, 7/8 inch, larger tubing, right? Which that thickness might have been appropriate. But what we're going to find out is it's nowhere near that for a proper flare. We actually, on modern flare blocks, have a gauge. And the gauge itself will show us how far to insert the copper. And then we make sure that it only goes up till it touches the gauge. Then we can close it, lock it into place, move the gauge out of the way. And what we're going to find is that's not a nickel thick. By no means. So what we learn in the process is that what we have been taught in the past might have worked well for things like oil line connections, maybe some flared propane connections. But when we start talking about higher pressure applications, it's critical that we're doing that flare proper. And so by using our gauge, we're getting the proper thickness, and we're going to use a concentric cone so that we're flaring it consistently as it's rotating. And we're going to use a clutch. So what the clutch does, once we start making our flare, how much pressure do we use to make our flare? It's a guess. Everyone has a different amount of torque that they would say this is probably enough. By using a clutch, we're making sure that we're using the exact amount of torque every time so that we only flare that copper out with a certain amount of pressure, a specific amount of pressure, and then we stop. What happens is we leave that copper soft enough that it can be a seal when we do actually tighten things down. When we overcompress during the flare, we harden and we temper that lip of the flare so that when they're over torqued and they're having vibration and they're under pressure, that's the reason a flare will crack. And so by doing a proper flare, we remove that potential for leak. And I've had a lot of people say, well, how well do they work? I've done hundreds, maybe thousands of flares since I went to a modern clutch style flaring block, used a gauge and a torque wrench, and I haven't had any leaks. And so it's important for us to understand that and to use that as a challenge in our classroom. It's a fantastic tool in the classroom. Katie, thank you so much. This is the reason we want to have this conversation. Remember, we do this entire show for you. Everyone here today is doing this to make you successful, to show you the tools to be successful. And when we use the proper tools and the proper techniques, and we use high performance equipment, we will have high performance results. But if we don't use the proper tools and techniques, no matter how well that thing was designed to operate, once we start losing refrigerant from our leaks, now we lose everything. We lose all of our efficiency and all of our capability. So very, very, very important for us to be using a clutch style flaring block that has a depth gauge, that has a tool to check and verify the actual diameter, and making sure that we're using a well-trimmed, if not new, reaming tool. We want to make sure that those tips are replaced, and we do the proper torquing, which we can go over here in a little bit as well. So Katie, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. So Jocelyn, out of everything that we've done in the last couple of days, were there any things that surprised you or anything that you may not have known before we started?
Yeah, when we were installing the Hitachi unit outside, it was like blowing out cold air. Yeah. And so that air gets turned into heat on the inside of the home, which I didn't know. So
it's interesting, isn't it? You know, let's just look at ourselves as consumers. Mm-hmm. As consumers, most of us do not really know how an air conditioner works. Never. Let alone a heat pump, right? We know that it makes us comfortable, but we don't understand how. No one's ever really talked about it. But if we break it down into its fundamentals, it's something that is understandable, especially when we start talking about heat pumps. Yeah. So for contractors, it's very important to understand how to communicate with a consumer very simply, how we're using a heat pump. So that's good. Besides the flaring, that's another fantastic thing. Chris, how about you? Now, Chris, I am so glad is joining us. This is the first road show that Chris has done with us. And Chris has not encountered a heat pump at all in the past. He's known about them, lives in Florida, hears about them. Chris, were there any things that you found interesting or things that you didn't know before?
Just learning about that a heat pump is essentially kind of a reverse air conditioner. You don't think about that. Growing up in the Northwoods, we had a furnace, or a fireplace. So you don't think that an air conditioner can also heat you. Normally it's like that's supposed to cool you down, not heat you. So that it's interesting that that technology has been used to produce heat. That was great. And the fact that the ductless units like this are just incredible. The fact that we just installed it over a couple hour period and we heated this place up to 80 degrees in a few minutes. So it was pretty great.
Yeah, that was actually very interesting to see the performance, especially being as cold as it is. Definitely an interesting part of this experience. Allie, how about you?
Yeah, well, as Clifton mentioned at the start of the show, I'm a planner. I like to plan projects and all of that. So, of course, I came with a list of things I learned. So, I'll be looking at that. But I want to say one of the first things that I learned was it's really impressive to see Clifton and Charles's work ethic. They are getting it done. They are running around, doing what needs to be done. They're going through mud and water, and they're doing it with a smile and really good humor. And it makes something that, we're doing long days, but it makes it so enjoyable. And I think that's something that I can really take back, and it's really applicable across everything everyone does. So appreciate that a lot. And yeah, lots of good humor on site while we've been doing this. We've been having a lot of laughs, and so I really enjoyed that. And adaptability has been huge. Things happen. What's that saying? It's like, when things go wrong, you go right. And I've seen that in practice so many times. Something's missing. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. We'll adapt. We'll figure it out. And maybe a few things might have fallen in some muddy water today. I'm not going to say yes or no to that, but we figured it out. Another thing that we've been like really, really stressing and is so important to everyone watching this is when you're doing an installation like this, read the instruction manual. That is like your Bible. Thank you. But yeah, it really does have all of the information you need. If you're in there and you can't figure something out, go straight to the instruction manual. Take the time to really read it and maybe even make some notes as you're figuring out. That's really helped us out along the way with this installation. And it's also important for safety because I learned if you're, plugging in some stuff wrong, bad things can happen. So, and specific to the product, I've been really, really shocked at how quiet it is. We were outside whenever we turned it on, and I was like, oh, it must be in silent mode. It's so quiet. And it wasn't. It was just how it runs. So I was really impressed by that. And then when we actually did put it in silent mode, oh my God, it was really quiet. So those are kind of all of my takeaways, but I've had just like a really great time doing this and spending time with you all, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to spend time with all of you here and all of you that are joining us remote. We're becoming one great big family, and we're so thankful to have you hanging out with us. Whoa, what is this camera doing?
It doesn't like me.
It did not. Hold on. Let me
Oh no, he's too ugly.
let me get into a preset and we'll get back around here.
Face made for radio. It just takes off automatically.
Hey, don't talk about my friend Charles like that.
So Charles, I think one of the things that Charles wasn't expecting was how cold it was going to be for this installation.
That's an understatement. I knew, cold climate heat pump. We want a cold place. I did not know that Southern Indiana was so cold. Plane landed. It's snowing. Great. I drive down here. It snowed the whole way. I'm like, great. Next day, it's beautiful out. Sun shining. Yes, it's cold, but it's beautiful out here. And, it gives us ideal conditions for what we're doing with this thing. I want it cold so that we can run this thing. And it performed just beautifully when we fired it up. Mm-hmm. I was really happy with how well it kicked off. I did not expect it to take as long as it did to heat this space up to 80 degrees. It ran, nice and smooth and consistently. It really, really surprised me how well this thing's doing.
Yeah,
it was fast.
And how quiet it is. Mm-hmm. I was expecting 2 hours to heat this.
Sure.
Not 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was amazing how fast it went. And this install went just so smoothly. Every install has issues. We forgot to bring line set or something like that.
Right.
And we didn't have any real major problems. I was surprised. And then you pulled out like the coolest thing I have seen in some time.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that, because as we're talking about installations, remember, with an installation, you may or may not have power on site, depending on new construction, remodel, what it is. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's one of our sponsors, NAVAC. They sent this. I brought it on site and
I stole it. Payback. I want one of these. Uh, it's cute. So this is what, 2 CFM?
That's a 2 CFM cordless.
All you really need on something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I see guys pull out, my 10 CFM vacuum pump, and it's like, you don't need, you're just going to create ice. With this thing, we pumped it down in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that was with a 9-foot line set, which is the minimum required for the installation. And I look at that as, think about a classroom that is worried or concerned about safety and weight of the components. That is an extremely lightweight product that works great in the classroom.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's maybe 3-4 pounds with this massive battery.
Yeah. So Scott, that was a question that just came in. So how well did it really work? If that was about the vacuum pump, literally we had we got that down to 270 microns, I think it was, in 178 in 20 minutes. And then it held at around 370, I think is where we ended up holding. But we were able to do that in under 20 minutes. So it was a very successful, and it was open for quite some time. So we had ambient air and ambient moisture. It's been snowing, so we had a lot of moisture in the air yesterday. The humidity was 97% relative.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's cold, there was a fair amount of moisture. We even had freezing fog yesterday morning because we had so much moisture in the air. So there would have absolutely been moisture in the line set. We try to keep it, as reduced as possible, but there were times it was open while we were doing flares and making connections. So it was very fast. They did a very good job. Yeah, and that is true. A 9-foot line set is not much, which is also relatable to using a 2 CFM vacuum pump and having a appropriate evacuation in less than 20 minutes. With that, if we look at the installation, it's important. We should talk about this. This is a great topic. When we talk about our line set links for our cold climate heat pumps, it's crucial that we follow the installation manual, like Allie was talking about, for our line set allocation. So you got to remember, in some of these critically charged systems, that line set is part of your refrigerant storage, right? It is part of our refrigerant management system, and it has to be able to modulate based on temperatures and pressures. And so in the installation manuals, we will have minimum and maximum line set links. And for this unit, even though our outdoor unit is literally right behind us, we needed to have a minimum 9-foot line set to be able to meet manufacturer specifications. So we did have to do an offset jog, which we can show you some photos. It'll all be part of our learning series as we put this together, but you'll see what we were able to do for this particular installation. But yeah, you're right. 9-foot line set, not very long, but to be able to pull an appropriate vacuum in less than 20 minutes, used to be we'd go to lunch, come back, see how things are going. Less than 20 minutes, we had a solid vacuum and we were ready to open the valves and allow for refrigerant flow. So a lot of very interesting, things to think about when we're looking at the installations of any ductless system, but in particular our cold climate heat pump systems. All right. Any questions from the audience while we're here? We're going to go back and look at some of the other benefits on this. I think I want to go back to Charles, and we're going to talk about some of the options that are on this that people may not be familiar with. This one is a Wi-Fi enabled unit, but there are some filtration features. Let me get my camera back up here and we'll get moved around. If I can get back on the right screen, give me just a second. Sorry about that, everybody. Trying to do everything from the laptop, and it's a little tricky at the minute. Okay, so when we're looking at this unit, actually, let me bring that up real quick. So when we're looking at that unit, we have very advanced filtration. When we think about a ductless, we're typically thinking about the standard ductless filters. Mm-hmm. This particular unit actually has a filter assembly very different than the traditional filter. Oh, sure. I'll go ahead and zoom that up. Or yeah, you're tall enough. You might be able to reach that. This is a fairly tall installation. It's a 9-foot ceiling. Top of that unit is probably 9 foot, and he is a lot taller than I am.
You're taller than everybody.
So we'll pull one of these filters out and we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yep.
You can take it with you, and I'll zoom it over to you. I love having this trackable camera with me on the go. This is
It's
fun.
really cool.
Yeah.
That is a fun toy.
Mm-hmm.
Regular mini split filter, right? Except we got this.
Okay, hold on just a sec. Let me bring you up front. There we go.
Regular mini split filter. And here we have the PM 2.5 filter. Little tiny guy. Doesn't look like much. That traps a lot. I mean, you can already feel a little bit on there.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's sorry. It's incredible how much these things filter out. Smoke smells, wildfires, you know, somebody cooking,
Mhm.
things like that. It gets it all. This thing gets a lot of stuff out of the air. I mean, if you look, you can see how much stuff's already on the front of that thing.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it just
And it's
clips
been
in
running not very long, like
Yeah.
a few hours.
Yeah.
about an hour.
Yeah.
It just pops right on, just like that. And you don't break the filter, and goes right back in.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think this is one of the coolest things they have on there. That and the frost wash.
Well, that brings up another point. So let's go. Let me change screens here. Let's bring that back up, and we are going to pull the brochure back up for it again. Tell us a little bit about the frost wash feature on this.
Frost wash is our defrost. And what it does is we purposely ice the coil. And not a lot, just a little bit. And then we run a defrost to wash the coil off. So we can clean the coils without having to come in and clean the coils. The system will do it itself. The same with like our mold guard setup. It will sit here, and if the unit is not running because you're gone or whatever, it will come in and automatically clean itself to get mold and dirt and debris out of the coil, so you don't have something weird growing in your house when you're not home. Which I've taken these things apart, I know you have, and seen all sorts of horrors in there. And stuff like the mold guard and the frost wash and, you know, the Duraspin are all great things for improving your indoor air quality. And indoor air quality is really going to be one of the next huge things. We saw it during COVID. Everybody was freaked out about indoor air quality. Their solution was to go out and stick a 2x4 into the economizer to keep it jammed open. They didn't go, what do we really need to do? And Hitachi has gone, what do we really need to do? And has done it.
You know, another really cool feature about that is the cleaning function that we have called Duraspin.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about Duraspin, because I see even on this ad, it's showing it for the outdoor unit.
Oh, really? It's new. It is a very new thing. And honestly, I think it's a great idea. It's something, what they do is it spins the fan backwards.
Yeah.
And it blows the junk out. So, you know, whatever is trapped in there, things like that, it spins it out. Not only that, the fan in this thing isn't the regular straight squirrel cage that you've seen your whole life in mini splits. We use a wavy fan blade design here to make it quieter, and it's super simple to get that out when it's time to clean it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, because that is very intriguing.
It's easy to get out.
Yeah.
Easy to get out.
Just
Oh, what more is there to say?
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of technicians struggle with, you know, that part of it.
that's the worst part. I hated mini split maintenance because of that. I would see those and I'd be like, God, that's a great day to call in sick. You know, I hated pulling that fan because you had to disassemble the whole thing. Not anymore. It comes out. It just slides right out the end. You can clean it off, slide it back in. You're done. You're not there for, 3 hours swearing at some poor customer's mini split you're in and out fast. It's going to cut your labor time. It's just a glorious thing.
Another feature that I find very intriguing is the AirCloud Go app, where we have access to this unit remotely. Have you worked with that very much?
No, not really. It's a fairly new thing, and I'm going to put one of these on the ADU I'm going to build.
Sure.
And I'm going to put that in there, and literally that AirCloud Go is why I'm going to choose one of these.
Sure.
Because it's awesome. I've been looking at it. It'll do the geofencing. It'll do everything that you see in like a regular other brand starting with H type of thermostat.
Sure.
And it's got all the functions, all the features, all the stuff that customers want. And if there's something else you can think of, tell us. We'll try and get it. Hitachi is extremely receptive to feedback. They actually pay attention to what people are asking them for. We asked them for a good Wi-Fi, not oh yeah, we got to put this box over here. This thing pops right in. There's literally a slot for it to pop into. There's a port on the board that it clips into. Done. It took 5 minutes tops for us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And probably even less during the install. It's, if I hadn't forgotten about it, we'd have probably just put it in earlier.
I love it. So we spent about 2 days for this installation doing a complete breakdown. It was really a very smooth installation.
Yes.
And so we're going to be doing a lot of monitoring. We're going to be providing these videos for you. We'll start dripping those out very quickly so you can start seeing what this complete installation was. But we really want to be a resource for you, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're a contractor. I know that the transitions into new technologies and new tools are not always the easiest, and that's why we're here to help provide you with that content. So we're going to be diving into the analytics of this unit. We're going to be testing it over a period of time, and I'm really excited to see what the results are once we get really cold. I hear that by this weekend, we're supposed to have some wind chills down into the negative single digits. So we will have a pretty good idea of how well this product is going to run. So of those of you in the audience, does anyone use a cold climate ductless heat pump right now? And if so, what brand or model are you using? We're very curious to see what results you're finding, even in the classroom. What products are you using, and what type of information do you need to be successful in the classroom? We've had conversations internally about what types of content to develop. There are a lot of books in process of being reviewed and updated that will be coming to the industry in the near future. And we want to make sure that you have all of the information and all of the training that you need. If you would like to connect with Hitachi, we encourage you to reach out to discuss training opportunities available through them, training resources that would be useful, particularly in the classroom. And yeah, it's been a great experience. And anyone have any questions that they would like to ask along the way? And does anyone have anything else that they thought was interesting about the installation or the equipment in general?
It was really messy.
Yeah. So for everyone and for my wife at home, installations are not the cleanest or funnest of environments, especially when you've got, we had 6 inches of snow that came down on Monday. I was actually here. The equipment got delivered on Monday. There was no snow. It was nice and cold. The ground was solid. I thought this is going to be great. Came down on Monday. We had almost 6 inches of snow that came in the evening, which changed everything. And it's been warming up into the low to mid 30s. And so when the sunshine hits it, it's turned into a muddy, soupy mess. So,
and I went and walked through all that mud and then walked all over your house.
Oh, don't
So
say that.
All that mud that's in your house, that was me. That was not Clifton. That was 100% me. Please don't kill him.
That's right. All right. And Allie, anything that we would like to discuss with Hitachi along the way? Any contact information that we should provide for people?
No, I think, well, Charles Van Kuren, would you
No,
like
do
to
not
provide
call me.
here?
No, but if you are interested in Hitachi, you can just get a hold of like a York Factory Direct store if there's one around you, or whoever your local York distributor is. Most of them have Hitachi equipment. If not, go online and you can get a hold of them that way.
Yeah, I don't have any specific contact information on me, but Google it and it will come up.
Okay.
Yeah, Google's an amazing thing. You know?
Charles, can you tell us about any of the other Hitachi products from residential and into commercial in these high performance heat pump ranges?
Yeah, that one right there is probably the most amazing thing they have. It is probably the best heat pump they've turned out.
Okay.
By a long shot. Now, the heat force in general is the cold climate stuff, and it's coming in the VRF as well. It'll be in everything before long. But the three-phase VRF will be going to heat force as well. I've seen a couple of them, and ooh, they're cool.
Yep.
You know, if you're a VRF nerd like me, they're awesome. They're just so much fun.
You've also mentioned that some of the Hitachi heat pumps, particularly in the commercial, are being used all the way up into Alaska.
Oh yeah, we've got some guys up there, More Heating, that do tons of these things, and all over Alaska, up in some extremely cold places. You know, I remember I was crossing the Knik River or some horrible place up there. And I looked down and it was 38 below zero. And I'm like, I'm never going to be able to turn this thing on. You know, and when I got there, it was 33 below and it was running. And I was like, oh yeah, that can't be doing too well. I went in and looked at the central controller, 18 to 20 degrees on each box. And I was, well, that shouldn't be happening. But it was. So, you know, what I found is a lot of times what they list, what it really, really do are often two different things. You know, and that Gen 2 was just rocking it. You know, that same company has put several in all across the state of Alaska, and from all the way out in Homer, where it's actually really temperate, into Anchorage, and up north into, you know, Wasilla and all those horrible places. And yeah, it can take some really low temperatures, but it can also take some very high temperatures as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that aspect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when was the last time I saw 120 degrees? You start looking at the literature and it starts talking about capacity going, you know, this will work at 120, 122. It's like, well, I've never seen it that hot, at least not in this country.
Yeah.
And, you know, they do really well at those high temperatures as well. So.
Very intriguing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we sure appreciate everybody joining us today. I know it's not quite an hour. We had some PowerPoint presentation material we were going to dive into to get a little deeper into the equipment. And we spent so much time on the installation, we kind of ran out of time getting some of that set up for you. So at another time, we'll dive deeper into the equipment itself, installation best practices, and we'll have the videos available for you to go through as well. So if you have any questions about Hitachi, we encourage you to reach out, and any other topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, let us know, and we will make sure to get that covered for you. And we appreciate everybody joining today, and we will see you again next week as we join live from the ACTE conference down in Nashville, Tennessee. So appreciate you all joining us, and we'll see you next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. Bye.